Have you ever heard it put this way? Oh my, have you ever thought about it? It eats or lives on its own waste. And that's a good thing, which can make it really cheap. What do you think? So as Zoe overlooks the bird garden, chasing off all the squirrels so they won't eat all the food from the birds, I'm going to go work in the backyard behind the dog kennel where I have another chair garden set up. You know I love my chair gardens. I set this one up like 5 years ago. It is going strong. I don't have to bend down, and each tote is an individual garden, making it so easy to plant different foods and vegetables in a variety. But today I'm going to go into the rainbow garden, another chair garden that I have set up here. And see the red tote? We're going to compost in place and grow. Are we going to grow right away? Well, I'll show you how I'm going to do it. But in there, I have loaded it with twigs and everything on the bottom. And then on the top, I loaded a whole bunch of, kitchen scraps. You know what that is? Pomegranate. They grow like mad. I end up with pomegranate trees all over, and Gary doesn't want any more, but I tossed it in the green bucket just in case. Now, what I'm going to do here is I collected a lot of matter from around the yard. Some of it came out of other totes. Look at this. This is just rotted food. It's been sitting in there forever. I don't even know more pomegranate. Oh, well, if it grows, I'll decide later. All that is just eggshells and oranges and greens. Whatever we ate or couldn't eat ended up in there. And now we're going to stuff it with more things because it's got twigs and everything on the bottom. Now, I use toilet paper rolls and paper towel rolls. You don't throw those away. That cardboard is non-toxic. It's perfect. It breaks down. The earthworms love it. Unlike cardboard that you get like shipping boxes that come from different companies you buy from, sometimes the earthworms won't eat it and they could be treated with formaldehyde and different things. But this is perfect. Now what I'm doing here is stuffing it with tree-colored leaves. It makes the perfect place for earthworms to get inside. They can snuggle up, eat, and be merry in there. And it works really good. And if you tell people you want it, they'll start bringing you buckets of toilet paper rolls. So I stuffed a whole bunch, and now what I'm going to do is take, grass, whatever's around here. It's not going to grow, weeds, and I throw that in there too because we've got all that kitchen scraps and everything in there, and it's going to need a breakdown. It's just been sitting out in the elements for months, some of it. And now this is just stuff I collected from around the yard. There's leaves and twigs and even some soil from other totes that are not growing right now. This is going to be really good. Now, once all the kitchen scraps and everything in there is covered, it's going to be a worm farm or even for microbes to get in there. But what we need is water. Water is life. So I'm going to grab the hose and I'm going to water and make sure it gets nice and wet. We're not going to put it underwater. Microbes and earthworms are not fish and they don't want to be in water. So as I go through, I'm going to water some of the south thistle I moved out of there so the goldfinches can eat it. And that was just full of muck. It all rotted down in the bucket. But all that in there is like plant food. So I'm going to dump that somewhere. But now I'm just going to give it a good spray, and I want it to go through the whole thing. So as the microbes start to develop and start to eat everything down, and I'm sure there's earthworm eggs and stuff in there, they'll eat it down too. I'm going to make sure it's wet and damp. And this is going to be fantastic. Now, I know there's rope around there, but we're going to talk about that another time. That's another project, and I'm not ready to set it up. When we set it up, I'll tell you what the rope is for. Oh, look, pepinos. Cool. I'll give them a good water, too. And we're going to get this set up. Now, the thing is, a lot of you learn that when you're composting, you have to wait, you have to turn it, you have to do all kinds of stuff with it. Let me tell you something. Plants, I have found, grow in their own waste. Sounds disgusting, but it's true. The plants drop leaves and twigs and it just rots into the ground. And a lot of times plants are growing even before it's rotten. I've grown so many plants that way. Now this, like I said, is like plant food. I'm going to dump it in with this squash that's been growing all winter. It's a hybrid. It was supposed to be a zucchini, but they are not growing true anymore. Only the first set will grow, but if you save the seeds, they grow like something else. So this will be really good and continue to feed that plant. Even though it just rotted, hasn't been sitting for months and breaking down, it's going to be perfect to water the plant. Now with this, I'm going to plant some squash in here. I'm going to plant zucchini seeds I bought. And I want to put my tool back around my pepinos because if the rodents or the squirrels find them, they'll eat it. And that little bit of tool has been keeping everything out. They don't want to climb up with the tool there. Though sometimes I do have to cover the whole thing. Oh, let's see what's in there. Leaves, we're going to push the leaves to the bottom. Remember, plants grow in their own waste. If you can remember that, then you shouldn't be afraid to be composting and growing. Oh, one of those assassin snails. I don't know if that one's alive, but we have those around here too. But Tulle is going to be very important for your garden if you've got any type of pest. I have found that without that, I don't believe I would have a garden. Now what I'm going to do is plant something. I'm using paper cups. Now these cups are a one-time use cup. They are actually true paper. I did not go out and buy them because they're expensive, but I did find them at a thrift store for like $1 for a 500 cups, and I bought those because they're too expensive to buy new. And I'm cutting off the ends because I'm going to use that as kind of a crib, like a cradle for my seeds. This way I know where I planted them, and when I water them, I'll water the cup and it will keep the seeds nice and wet. And I'll know exactly where they're coming up. Now I'm going to plant 3 of them, even though I only want 1 zucchini plant in here. If you have 2 or 3, your plants will suffer. They'll be fighting, for the nutrients in there. 1 zucchini is enough. You can put something else in there on the side, lettuce or some greens or whatever else you want, some flowers. But only put 1 zucchini. Now I'm taking some soil that came out of another tote. So that's already nicely broke down. I want something good for the seeds to grow in. But notice, I'm not doing anything else underneath. All that matter is going to stay there. And now we're going to give it a good water. Now remember, the cups have a hole in it, giving it good drainage, but also making sure the seeds have good contact with water. I'm going to put 1 seed in each cup. Now, if I'm fortunate and all 3 grow and look beautiful, I'm going to tell you young plants are the easiest plants to move. The smaller the better, but I have pulled them out even when they're 1 to 2 feet tall and yanked them out, put them in another tote, watered them well. They looked dead for a few days and they popped up and they've grown. So we'll see what happens in the next couple weeks if they all make it. And then I'll see if I'm going to move them or maybe only 1 will come up. But we're going to put 1 seed in each cup and then I will continue to water it. Now this should give me a zucchini plant for the spring. Now I'm putting some old leaves around. This is just purple tree colored leaves. It could be any vegetable leaf. The reason is I'm using used, repurposed, old-fashioned soil I found, and there could be roly-polies or insects in there, and a lot of them like to eat decaying leaves. So if I give them the leaves, in theory, they hopefully won't eat the new seedlings coming up. And it's worked for me. It depends on what's in there, of course. I could always cover it with, let's say, a cottage cheese container with the bottom cut out and put that around. That will stop roly-polies too. But for now, I'm just going to do that. Now I'm going to put a Tulle cover on top. It's just the lid. I cut the center out, stapled on some Tulle, and there I go. And if you're looking for some cheap Tulle, you can find it in my description. Just hit the description under the video, hit more and more again, and you'll see some links. I buy mine off eBay. It's $10 for 40 yards, 54 inches wide. You can't beat it. So now hopefully I'll have some zucchini coming up. I'll see if I have to move any. I hope I gave you some ideas on how to grow. And do you have to wait until it breaks down? No, I don't. If you want to, you can. But that little bit of food in there breaking down creates the smallest amount of heat that the plants love. And that's probably why in the wild they grow in their own waste. So with that, have a wonderful day. And don't forget to eat what you grow. Oh, that's tree colored. We use it for compost, we use it for compost tea, and we eat it too. It's the perfect plant fertilizer. And why not grow something you can eat as well as use to feed your plants? At least that's the way we think about it. And those are coming out of Gary's garden. Oh, I wonder if he needed them. Oh well, it grows fast.